Something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time on the channel is this incessant claim from horror fans all over the internet, whether it be on YouTube videos or in comment sections or chats or where. The thing I hear so fucking often is that Scream saved horror. It popped it up on his shoulders and it's like, come with me and we shall find salvation once again. Let's put you back in the limelight where you once were. The 80s were so glorious and the 90s were so terrible. This is something I hear all the time. That by the 90s, horror was basically dead. Now, I think the argument most people will make is box office, right? Box office numbers. And if that's your range for quality, then maybe, yeah, I guess, ish. But that is not what I hear when I hear Scream saved horror. Now, I know a lot of you who know my channel are immediately thinking, oh, this is just because Jason doesn't like Scream, right? No, that's not really what this has to do with. What this has to do with for me is ignoring how good 90s horror was until Scream came around. So what I'm claiming is that Scream came in and actually hurt horror way more than it helped it. I see no evidence to support that it helped horror, like, at all. And horror was doing amazing as far as filmmaking was concerned, and quality was concerned. I think horror was much better pre-Scream than post-Scream. So this is something that I am just baffled by. And as I say, I don't think this is where people are going with this. When they say this, I don't think they're talking about box office. Maybe some are, but most are like, no, the quality. This is just not true. This is just not true. So let me go through some titles pre-Scream and post-Scream. Okay, I didn't write them all down. There was a lot of titles I could have written down as examples one way or the other. Now, the 90s, the early 90s, are littered with bad films. Sure, point to me a year where there isn't a plethora of terrible films in the genre or outside of the genre. There isn't one. There's always going to be bad films. But let's just look at the early 90s, okay? 1990 to 1995. Now, 96 itself doesn't even count for me because Scream didn't come out till December 20th, 1996. Okay, so all of 96 as well doesn't count. So basically you have from 97 up to 2000. And you can go from there. And yes, of course, it has effects and this and that. I think Blair Witch, actually 99, got a lot more attention towards what would become the resurgence of horror goers with found footage. But that's for a different discussion and argument. Of course, Paranormal Activity was really, really heavily responsible for that as well. But 1990, okay, we've got Lucio Fulci's A Cat in the Brain. Now I know that a lot of you probably don't even know what that is, but that's a really cool meta film, and I just wanted to mention it really quick because I think it's a great film and it should be mentioned. But we've got Child's Play 2, which is a lot of people's favorite in that franchise. Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead, Peter Jackson's zombie masterpiece, which I think is the best zombie movie ever made. Personal opinion on that. The Exorcist 3, which is one of the most heavily regarded sequels in the genre. Jacob's Ladder, which when I'm pointing these movies out, I want to point out the quality or the swings involved, right? Like, these are very well written, cerebral, artistic, swinging for the fences type of movies. Jacob's Ladder, Exorcist 3, that kind of stuff. Like, these are real films, right? This isn't just throwing some pretty faces together to try to get a box office draw from teeny boppers, right? These are like smart, intelligent films, some of these, and I'll be naming more here. But Misery, fucking Misery. Misery is phenomenal. Misery is like a near perfect film. It's so smart, so amazingly well acted. I mean, we're talking about Academy Award winning stuff here, right? What did Scream bring us? Hmm? Did it bring us Oscars? Did it bring us Kathy Bates' performance? Did anyway? Maniac Cop 2, which is a fantastic sequel. The Night of the Living Dead remake, which most people love. Nightbreed, even though I'm not a big fan of the film, it is a very cool, interesting, high budgeted monster film from Clive Barker. Tremors, everybody fucking loves Tremors, man. No, there's not a horror fan that hasn't seen it, and most horror fans love it. It's a great film, man. And then 1991, you've got Silence of the Lambs. Now, there's debate on whether that's a horror movie or not. I think there's enough horror in it to call it a horror movie, and it won Best Fucking Picture and has some of the best performances of all time from all three of the main leads, whether it be Jodie Foster, Ted Levine, or Anthony Hopkins. So that right there, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Scream. Oh, please. Oh, Scream, save us. Save us. Horror's so terrible. We're winning Oscars. We're giving iconic performances that no one's ever going to forget. Then we get into 92. We have Army of Darkness, which is beloved, of course. It's the third film in the Evil Dead franchise. It's a fantastic film. We all love it. Candyman, which is one of the best fucking, one of the best films that leaves ambiguity, that just has this kind of like ending that sits with you, and it's iconic, man. Candyman, the theme song and everything, phenomenal. We've got Bram Stoker's Dracula. Oh, what a fucking rad movie this is, which actually features what I sometimes consider to be like the best opening in horror history. Just the swells and all that stuff, and the music, and he turns, and the blood, and then Dracula and all that. It's fucking phenomenal. It's so artistic, and it's so high budgeted, and the performances. You got Gary Oldman. The movie's phenomenal. It's an art piece, right? Oh God, Scream, please help us. Help Scream, which ushered in fucking I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legend, and The Faculty, and Halloween H2O, and all these. These are the movies that it influenced. These are the movies that everyone was going to see because of Scream. Are you really going to put those films? I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know a lot of people love Scream. I'm not here to talk about Scream. I'm here to talk about the impact Scream had on horror. So what did it influence, and what it got people to go see, and what films were being made because of it? That's what I'm mostly focusing on, because I don't give a fuck about box office. Fuck box office. Because people are like, oh, well, you have to have the box office, otherwise they're not going to be making films. Like good films, they're not going to get the budgets. They're not going to get this. I just mentioned multiple films that have high budgets, amazing acting, Academy Award nominations. Scream came in and saved this genre? Where the fuck is the evidence for this? Anyway, keeping going. We got Cemetery Man. Everybody loves this fucking movie who has seen it. It's one of the best horror comedies out there. We got The Crow. I mean, talk about artistic. Talk about something iconic. Fucking The Crow. In the Mouth of Madness, one of my favorite John Carpenter films. Yeah, maybe these didn't hit in box office, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about quality. We're talking about influences. Keeping going here. Interview with the Vampire. Oh, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Antonio Banderas. Oh shit, Scream. Fuck. Bring in Nev Campbell and fucking Courtney Cox, and David Arquette, and Jamie Kennedy. Oh my God, yeah, look at that talent lineup. Fuck Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Anthony Hopkins, fucking Kathy Bates. Oh God, yeah, James Caan. Yeah, no. Scream came in and gave us the quality, right? This I'm really just saying all of this because I'm so tired of hearing about this. I'm so tired of hearing Scream saved horror, and people just puppet this. They do, and they don't really think about it. It really annoys me. Box office, be damned. Really focus on what you're saying. So be very clear about what you're saying, because it did not save horror. Anyway, moving on. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. What an inventive, awesome, smart thing going on here. Um, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, Species. You know what a big hit Species was? How many kids fucking crushing on Natasha Henstridge in that? 96. We're getting into 96, but as I said, Scream didn't come out till the end of 96. You got The Frighteners. You've got From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn. Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, George Clooney, Juliette Lewis, Harvey Keitel. Fuck, this movie is fantastic. And it did well. It's a great film. The Craft. The Craft was a huge hit. A lot of people were going to that fucking movie. And it's a beloved film to this day. Bad Moon, I had to throw that on here because I love the film. There's a ton of films I didn't mention that are on here, but I just love. I think where a lot of people are focusing their attention on this is like the franchise slasher movies were in a lull. I think that's really what it is. I think they're saying that like Scream saved the slasher. This is not an argument for me either, because I think I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, all these, and H2O especially. I'm not an H2O fan, so I am a little biased here, but I don't think these are quality films. I don't think there's great performances or really great kills. I mean, that's another thing. The 90, like, Scream era slashers are watered down fucking like Dawson's Creek wannabe slashers with shit kills and just pretty boys and you know, as I said, it's like Dawson's Creek. That's what it's kind of mimicking, is like everything's glistening and pretty and whatnot. It's like it's completely lost that edge of the 80s. So it's not something I'm a fan of. But yes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 and 4, Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy's Dead, they all came out in the 90s. So I get that. And you know, even though I'm a big fan of Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers, it sure wasn't hitting very well in the box office, and it's a very bizarre film. It's the outcast film in the franchise, much like Jason Goes to Hell and much like Freddy's Dead. So from that perspective, I think if people are focusing on those specific franchises, yes, that was when things were going downhill for the 80s. Like what was remnants of the 80s, not the new stuff, but what was attached to the stuff from the 80s, that was dying, right? And then Scream came in and revitalized new franchises that I don't know, but like, who gives a fuck about I Know What You Did Last Summer sequels or Urban Legends sequels? Or, you know, like none of these had legs. Even if you like the first ones, no one really likes the other ones. So I don't know. It's not like the Friday the 13th franchise, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, where there's a lot of films in those franchises that are beloved, Halloween franchise, whatnot. But it's okay. Post Scream, you know, and there was so many titles. I just wrote down a few that I'm just like, okay, these are not really that liked. These are not films that people. These are all the titles I could write down that people really know pretty well, and a lot of them aren't really that liked. And the other ones, they're not influenced by Scream. Maybe people went more to the box office because of this, but these were not influenced by Scream. With the good ones that I'm gonna say. Anyways, Alien Resurrection. I'm not a fan. Most people aren't. American Werewolf in Paris. This is a film that's not really liked. I quite like it, but I get it. It really wasn't. It was a product of its time for sure. Anaconda. Cube, which is great, but definitely was not influenced by Scream. Event Horizon, which clearly was not influenced by Scream, but it's a cool film. I Know What You Did Last Summer, 1 and 2. Mimic, The Relic, those are two monster movies. Yet again, not influenced by Scream, but it did come out post, so we'll count it as maybe why people were going to the box office. But none of these are like beloved. None of these films are beloved. Wishmaster, which is a cool film, but not beloved. Blair Witch, as I had already mentioned, and Lake Placid, and that's really it for the 90s. Now you can get into the early 2000s, which I didn't write down any of those titles, but to me, I just don't see this huge spike in quality of film. Like, what did Scream save? The box office, right? That's all people are talking about. And I didn't even go in and look at the box office. So that's something that I need to really investigate. Like, what is the gigantic leap from what Interview with the Vampire? I think that was making money, right? Bram Stoker's Dracula, that was making some money. Silence of the Lambs had to have made some pretty good money. From Dusk Till Dawn, did that not make any money? Like, what did Scream save exactly? So let me, yeah, box office is what I'm gonna guess, but I don't think that's what people are. That's okay. I've repeated myself a million times now. I apologize. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, and I'll see in the comments. I'm sure there'll be some serious defenders of this, and there will be a lot of people on my side as usual. But I'll be curious on what people's takes are on this overused thing that I find no validity in. Please make it make sense to me. I'll read down below, and if you can make it make sense to me, I will fucking be like, okay, you're right. I'm just not seeing any evidence. I'm just not seeing it. Post Scream, 97, 98, 99, all that. I just don't see it. I don't see some increase in quality. The early 90s was awesome. There's a lot of fantastic fucking films from 1990 to 1996. So I'll see you in the comments. Let me know.